What's up, y'all? I'm Benjamin Outdoors, and this is my channel. So I'm back here with the CBR again today. I've been riding it for a few weeks now, and for the most part, it's been doing good, but I have had some problems pop up, and I'm actually gonna show y'all what went wrong and how I fixed them. One of the issues is this plug right there. I don't know if you can see, that pin right there is damaged. And so you can move it around and it'll cut on and cut off the fuel pump wheel. And so I actually rode it for a while, and then it started messing up on me on the highway, and I would have to wiggle it and it would shut on, shut off. And so I actually went to Tampa today and picked up basically a brand new harness. It actually has the fuse box and fuse cap to it, because mine doesn't. And so I'm actually going to swap this, and so I'll have a perfect condition wiring harness for the bike. And then this chain is OEM chain. And so I want to make sure I get a new one on that, because the chain looks good, but there's 22,000 miles on the bike, and I want to make sure it's mint when I sell it. And when I got some parts, I also got some extra parts for this CBR, for the other one. So I got some parts for both bikes, but the main bike is this one. I'm trying to work out all the little issues. There's also a little bit of coolant leaking. I think it's from the thermostat. As you can see, it's right there. A little bit of coolant leaking down. So I think it's around the thermostat. So I'm gonna pull that off when I get the wiring off, and kind of look at it, inspect it, figure out what's leaking, and replace any seals or seal it up. And then the only other thing is I'm searching for a swing arm, because this has got a little damage right there and a little scuffing. And I don't want to sell it like that. So I want to replace that. But everything else is mint. So it's still riding good. So hopefully I can replace this, get the new chain on, and do a few more things, seal that up, and make it mint, and then it'll be ready to sell. Gonna pull that off. Gonna go put this up the stairs, make sure it's nice and protected. Don't want anything to happen to that paint. Alright, so I actually pulled the seat off, and it looked like this fuel pump wire. When you touch that, the fuel pump will cut on and off. That was actually severed. So my actual issue wasn't even this. I guess when I was moving this, it moved the harness, I guess, and hit that. I mean, this was an issue. This is an issue still. But I think this was the main issue. I guess when I was moving around, it kind of was hitting back and forth. So I got a new chain. Part of the chain. I just need to figure out how many links I need to cut out. Put a little bit of lube on it. So I found the plugs for the turn signals. These were on the other turn signals that I cut off. I already pulled off both grounds because the grounds for these turn signals are already on the bike. See, this runs to those wires, so all this needs is just the positive. So I'll hook these up to the according one. All right, so they are wired up properly. So I'm actually wiring up my turn signal integrated taillight, and here's the finished product on one of them. Ideally, it'd be nice to be able to pull the pin out, deattach the blue wire, and put on this new wire, but these plugs are very fragile, and so I'm just splicing into it. And so I'm going to take these quick soldering connections. It's shrink wrap with a piece of solder in it, low temperature solder. I'm going to put some shrink wrap on first. And so you're going to put this together, push it through, and the way I do it is I actually sit here and twist these wires together. So these are already really strong. There's already really good connection. And then I just slide the piece over to where the solder's on top of it, and then I heat it up. And if you can see, the solder actually melted around the copper wires. And so now it's one solid piece, and it is not coming apart. Now you have good solid connections that you know that won't fail. And it only costs you a few bucks because these are pretty cheap on eBay, and these are pretty cheap on eBay. I'm gonna plug them into the corresponding colors. Turn the blinker on. She looks good. It's time to start pulling all the plugs off to swap the wiring harness. And there was a slight coolant leak somewhere, so I'm trying to figure out where it is. I already loosened the boots up, so that should pop right out. Kind of looks like there's a slight coolant leak over there. I'm gonna pull that off the thermostat and then probably seal everything up again. So it actually looked like it leaked between the thermostat housing, leaked down here, and then that's what leaked down onto the case. So I'm actually gonna pull this apart, put some high temp gasket sealer in it, and then put it back on. So I just put a thin layer of high temp gasket maker on there. And then I'm gonna put the thermostat back on. You can see the slight red line in there. I cleaned it up. Then I also pulled this out and resealed it. I just tightened it back up because it looked like it was kind of leaking out of that as well. So I'm gonna clean it up a little bit, all the areas that look like it was leaking at. I'm gonna clean that off. And so I can make sure that when I look at it again, that these don't show up. I don't see those and think those are more leaks. So that looks like that's coolant all down there. It's clean in there, so I'm gonna start putting everything back together. It's frustrating. I did all of this just because one single pin in there was damaged. I couldn't find those pins anywhere. So I replaced the whole entire freaking wiring harness to make sure this thing was met. All right, so here is this perfect condition harness. On the relay box, it actually has the cap. So I am going to, actually off of 2010, I'm gonna start putting it on. All right, so I got 1, 2, 3, 4 coils plugged in. Then I got this vent sensor, or I don't know, this ventilation system. I got the plug in there. Then I also got the fan plugged in. I got this throttle body plugged in. I kind of just move it to the side because it's kind of hard to get plugged in when the air box is there. I'm gonna put the lower air box on, try to get it over the sensor. That's the hardest part. And then I'm gonna bolt it down and then put the top on and then connect the rest of the electronics. All right, so I got this part of the air box. So I got this sensor plugged up. That goes up to here. Then I got another sensor that comes from the wiring harness right here, blue plug, and the other blue plug plugs on the side of the throttle body. Then you got 4 plugs that come out. The gray ones for the injectors, but these are going to actually plug into the juice box that comes up here. And then the juice box actually plugs into the injectors right there. I was blinking a code 25 on the FI light. And so I did some research, and apparently this harness off of the 2009 and newer, they were slightly different apparently, just some different plugs. So I was looking around on the ECU plug. You can see these 3 and 3. Well, on the previous one, there was one right there. So that one single green one, and now there's a black one right there. And so I'm gonna have to try to find that wire and put it on there. Oh, see that black wire's down in the bottom left corner. I need to move this wire up to right here, because that's where it is on this one. So I think that's gonna be my only issue. And then it should be basically a brand new harness, and it should not blink FI light. These are very complicated plugs. Okay, so I took a thick needle. Took me a few minutes, but I just kind of gently poked up in there and kind of just tilted it back a little bit. I actually already got the one pulled out right there. So this one is going in right there next to the green wire. So I didn't damage that really much at all. It's kind of a pain, but like I said, the big needle is probably the best, most effective. So I'm just gonna look real quick. There's 3 plugs over here, nothing in it, green, and then the black and yellow is gonna go there. Then 2 blanks, then a white and blue, then green and yellow, white, yellow, like gray and white. Those are all right. Blank, blue and yellow, blank, green and white, black and white, yellow and green, green and like black, brown, a brown then a blank, blue, yellow. Then on the bottom, it's supposed to be blank, 4 blanks, green and red, pink and green, gray and blue, a blank, blue and yellow, then another blank, and then gray. So that is right. So I'm gonna pull this back up through. There we go. It's on the top. The blank back in there. And then I'm gonna put this puppy on. First verify everything looks good. Straighten this one out a little bit more. It doesn't need it, but because I'm not putting it in there. But looks pretty good. Click that back together. And so now I can plug it back in. All right. All right, the ECU should be good. Let's see what happens. Well, that fixed my issue.